Right, good evening, people of the internet. Today, I've not done too much on the Arctic Cat 550, but it's going to be just a bit of an update video, just to say exactly where we're going to go from here. I've done a thorough inspection of everything on the bike. I've jacked up front suspension, rear suspension. Everything's absolutely grand. There's no playing anything at all, which you'd kind of expect if it's been run on the road. The timing chain is in excellent condition, so that's reusable. The only bit of damage I've found on the engine unrelated to this problem is this boot that runs from the air box to the inlet manifold with inlet sensors. It has a split in it, so we're going to want to get that replaced because that may affect, well, obviously you want to replace it anyway, but it's probably going to affect our sensor data. I'm charging the battery up now. I've ascertained that our power steering does operate as it should do, so let's see if, wait for it to kick on. There you go, look, moving that with a finger, and it's super light. So that's all good. All our lights are in working order. So yeah, there's definitely nothing else wrong with the bike other than the engine fault and that CV boot, which I pointed out in the first video. So, moving on to the engine. I showed you in the previous video that this barrel was no good. As you can see, there's not too much scoring in there. That leads me to believe that this happened in one hit, if you see what I mean. I don't believe that this was an issue that was slowly getting worse and worse and worse. I think this happened at once. I'm pretty confident it was extreme heat that's done it, that seized the piston to the bore and subsequently obviously broke the piston. Either that or potentially it could be a manufacturing defect, you know, like a slight crack in the piston that's grown and grown and grown over time and resulted in this. So I'm guessing it's going to be one or the other. But as I say, I don't think it's an issue that's been going for long, because if you look inside that bore, yes, there's a bit of scoring as you expect, but it doesn't look like it's been going on forever. So, as I say, I said in the previous episode that this bore was scrap, and I was going to replace it. However, a new one of these, have a guess how much this is. £600 for a new one of these, and a second-hand one simply isn't available. There's not that many of these newer Arctic Cats sold in the UK. The earlier 2000s Arctic Cats are actually based on Suzuki's, but these are genuine Arctic Cats, and there ain't many of these about. And to be honest, I can't find many used ones in the US, even shipping them over. So I thought it was kind of bugging, I was going to have to pay up. Excuse me. But I'm taking a trip down to my local handy dandy machine shop. They do a lot of classic car restoration work, and they can salvage this. What they shall do is they will remove the liner. You can see the liner there. Well, I don't know if it's lined or not. I'd have to have a look, but I think it is lined. You can see that liner there. They'll remove the liner if there is a liner, and they'll put a fresh liner in to oversize. Yeah, it is lined. Look, you can see. They'll put a fresh liner in to oversize, or undersize, should I say. The bore is supposed to be between 89.05mm and 89.015mm. So we've got a 0.1 of a mil tolerance in there. So they will put a new sleeve in and they will bore it out to factory specifications and make this barrel good once more. There's no cracking around the outside of the barrel, so that's the only issue with it. The cam, where's the cam? I believe that's in this box over here. Yeah, here it is. Unfortunately, is also knackered. As you can see, that's had an oil starvation issue. I don't know if this has happened in one hit or not, or whether it's a separate incident. But it does need to be replaced because on a bike of this calibre, the engine must be absolutely spot on. It's not an old farm bike you want to rag about. As you can see, the areas where our cam runs are actually in excellent condition. So this head we can reuse, and the where it actually runs on the cam is also, as you can see, in excellent condition. Slight marks on that one, but nothing, you can't feel it or anything. So I'll be fine with a new cam. We won't have to replace the head. The new cam comes with the decompression valve on it, or not valve, but the decompression thing on it. We'll reuse this cog as it's in good condition. The head itself, I'll start with the rocker actually. The rockers, as we described again yesterday, are no good. These rockers are going to have to be replaced. I've mentioned prices of this stuff actually. The cam is £165 plus 20% VAT. These rockers we will be replacing. These are about £80 I think each plus the VAT, if not a little bit more. The pin that runs through the centre we'll also replace while we're in there. They're only £15 each, so it makes sense to do it. What else have we got in here? Our timing chain tensioner is good, so I'll reuse that. We'll obviously have a new head gasket. I did have a look at this head gasket to see if I thought it had blown and subsequently let the coolant out, but it doesn't look like it has. It appears to be in reasonable condition. There's a slight mark there, but that may have been done taking the cylinder head off. What else we got? Ah yes, of course, the piston. As you can see, this is what was pulled out of the engine. This piston, you might be thinking, oh my god, there's nothing to it. Well, if you actually look up a picture of this piston, it's very shallow. It only runs to about there, and there's hardly anything around the exterior, so there's not actually that much metal we were missing. I've just dropped a piece of it on the floor. But I've gone fishing in the... Let me show you the depths of the engine. So we're quite lucky, because as you can see, if I move the rod, back there is a raised section. So this rod sits in a sort of U-shaped valley, if you like. So the chances of anything getting back into the gearbox section are little to none. And I've had a good search with the torch in there, and there's absolutely nothing in that gearbox section. So that's all good. The bulk of the material that had dropped into the motor was around here. As you can see down, well, you can't see it anymore, but it was down there. There you go, there's nothing in there now, look. So what I've been doing to remove it, I've been rotating the crank around. See, there's nothing down there either. It might be a very slight piece, but we're going to still get them out. See, that's nice and clean, there's no bits in there. What I've been doing is I've been using two arc welding rods. You're going to laugh at this, but using them as a pair of chopsticks. So what I've been doing is I had this big light over the top, and I've been holding the welding rods like so, and physically fishing each little tiny piece out like that, you know, moving it in and out and fishing each one out. And then once I got the bulk of the large components, I'd wrapped duct tape, the outside of the duct tape, around the welding rods multiple times. I might have one left over here that I've been using. See? And then I've been fishing the tiny little pieces out. As you can see on there, there's lots of tiny little pieces of metal. As you can see, these are the pieces I have fished out. So that is pretty much everything to this piston. I'm 99.9% sure. We've got both C-clips, the other one's over there because I was trying to compare it to something else. We've got the wrist pin. Obviously all the rings are still on there, so we've got them. And I tried reassembling this piston. Obviously they're so mullered I can't really do it, but you can see how it would have gone, like so. So yeah, I'm 99.9% sure, because it was only had little shoulders around these two corners, as you'll see if you Google a piston, and it only came up to that height. And we've got a lot of pieces here, so I'm going to say 99.9% confident everything is out of that bottom end. But what I've done now is I've ordered a borescope with a light and twisty tube, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to stick that inside there and make sure every last piece is out. Little teeny weeny fine particles like that, for example, that I've taken out, they should be picked up by the oil filter or just ground into just simple, you know, metallic mush. But it's pieces like this that you really want to be removing. Anything, you know, bigger than that, even I would say anything bigger than that, really, you're in some serious trouble. You want to even take these pieces out. So as you can see, if I really zoom in on this, I've taken every last bit out I can with the duct tape method. There's tons and tons of little tiny bits of shrapnel that I've removed. So yeah, the next video will be probably looking inside there with the borescope. I've ordered a lot of the parts already. I think they came to about £800 total for everything, including the quote for the barrel. So yeah, I shall see you in the next one. Cheers.